Good morning. Good morning, friends. How is everybody doing today? How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm
You've
good.
been busy in the kitchen.
I had stuff to do.
Cooking dog food.
Yeah.
Do you like cooking dog food?
Yes, I do.
We have a special dog. So he gets a mixture of ground beef, chicken hearts, or chicken livers.
Chicken livers.
Chicken livers, rice, and carrots. Yeah.
Plus his supplements.
Plus his supplements. He's a high maintenance dog. We should talk
And his
about
vitamins.
controversial things this morning.
That's what you just did.
Really?
Homemade dog food diet is very controversial.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard about the raw diet, the raw dog food diet.
That too.
I fed my dog, my Rottweiler, raw dog food because I had a bunch of friends that worked at a farm, at a butcher, at a meat packing company. So they would bring, and little Raven, I remember she was about 6 months, 8 months old, and the guys brought her back a spine of a cow.
Gross.
And she carried it around like a little trophy. Yeah, it freaked people out.
Gross.
Is that controversial? I don't think it is.
Gross?
Yeah, it's gross. Do you remember that?
No.
You don't remember those days. All right. Far off, distant days. Ugh. Ugh. All right. What do we got today? Tuesday? Anything special on the sked?
Is there anything that, like, over the last year that you, like, have forgotten how to do well, or, like...
Talk to people.
No.
No, I literally, like...
Do you remember you said, like, a while back, you're like, I wonder if like, toothpaste sales have gone down.
Do you think
Do
they'd
you
go
remember to
up,
brush
though,
your teeth
because
all the time now? I feel like
Well, now we're getting into controversy. Sometimes I don't. Like this morning, I didn't brush my teeth. I was like, I'm not going anywhere. Maybe I'll brush them at lunchtime. Maybe I won't brush them today. I don't know. No, I brush my teeth.
I have been really failing at the accessorizing game.
Oh my goodness, that was funny. Yes.
So the other day we were going to church.
And you love jewelry.
I do. I always wore
dangly,
jewelry.
hangy, ear, neck. Yes.
So the other day I invited myself over to a friend's farm. And for some reason I was like, hey, can I come to your farm outside and see your chickens? And then she's
they
like,
have
yeah.
like a chicken coop?
Yeah, they have chickens, like lots of chickens.
What do they do in the winter?
I didn't ask
Like,
that.
is it heated?
I didn't think about that. And then she's like, yeah, and you can bring a lunch and eat in our barn and like do whatever. And then she showed me where the creek was. We went for a walk down by the creek. Why would I think, like, as I was getting dressed to go to the farm, hey, I should wear these really nice white gold earrings John bought me last year. And then I fell off a zip line into a tree.
You were ziplining?
I was ziplining.
You didn't tell me you ziplined.
They have like a little zip line. And there was like an incident where a 4-year-old was I had to throw myself off the zip line and fell into a tree.
I didn't hear about this.
We laughed so hard.
Auntie Vicky fell in a tree.
We laughed so hard I almost peed my pants.
Oh my goodness.
And apparently lost an earring. And then the next time that I tried to accessorize, I was wiser and I was like, well, obviously I don't have expensive earrings anymore.
You have lots of earrings.
But I don't have like my nice earrings that I really like. And so, but for some reason, like later on, I realized like, oh, I'm wearing 3 necklaces.
I saw that.
So what must have happened is they must have gone like, oh, I should throw on a necklace with this. And then the next time I went into my room, I was like, should throw on a necklace with this outfit.
And then how about one more that
I already have a necklace on and I didn't take it off.
Mrs. T. Yeah.
I keep forgetting to take this one off. It's my
Do you like layered
accessory?
Do you like layered?
Not usually, no.
Jewelry?
No,
or is that
usually.
not a thing? Like,
No.
unless you're like a rapper or Mr. T.
I also have another question. What are you supposed to do when you only have one expensive earring left? Like, it doesn't feel right to throw a white gold earring in the garbage.
I think that...
What do you do with it?
I'll take it back.
And do what with it?
It's mine now. I'm taking it. I don't know what I'll do with it. I might melt it down and make a gold tooth.
It's really sad.
A white gold tooth. That would be cool. Something's ringing.
Just ignore it. It's my phone. It'll stop.
All right. Okay.
All right. So there's other things that I've gotten better at, I feel, and we can talk about those another day. But those are things that...
I don't think I'm great socially. Like, I never really was, but I'm worse now where I'm like, oh, can somebody just mute? Like, and you can't tell people because they're actually...
Mute you? Oh,
No, they're actually in person. I want to shut off my camera. I just want to like kick back and listen. But you're actually with people and you have to sit up straight and pay attention. And
oh,
so that was a challenge, a little bit of a challenge. But thank
because when we're
goodness.
in person, you can't just be like doing something else on your phone while someone's
somebody's
speaking.
talking to me. Like, I'm Google facting you right now.
It's a little rude.
I'm gonna shut off my camera.
Okay. Well, we have 5 more weeks to prepare for being in public.
We do.
Although we are still able to meet as a church with a maximum of 10 people.
Yeah.
So
that's great. All right, let's get it.
All right.
Morning devotionals.
So our morning devo, deadlines.
Deadlines. Oh, this is a hard one. This will be. I like deadlines personally. Yeah. What do you hear when you hear deadlines?
Well, this is specifically pertaining to relationships. So this is, I think, I don't know. So the quote is, I don't know whether I want in or out of this relationship. I've been struggling with it for months now. It's not appropriate to let it hang indefinitely. I will give myself 2 months to make a decision. Another quote, I've had this unresolved problem hanging over my head for 6 months now. I'm confused. I'm not certain what to do. I'm going to give myself 1 month to come up with a solution. Those are examples of deadlines. Sometimes it helps to set a deadline. This can be true when we face unsolved problems, are struggling with a tough decision, have been sitting on the fence for a while, or have been floundering in confusion about a particular issue for a time. That does not mean a deadline is written in stone. It means that we are establishing a time frame to help ourselves not feel so helpless and to bring a solution into focus. Setting deadlines can free our energy to set the problem or issue aside, to let go and allow the universe, our higher power, God, and ourselves to begin to move forward toward a solution. We don't always need to tell people that we've got a deadline. Sometimes it's better to be silent, or else they may feel we are trying to control them and may rebel against our deadline. Sometimes it is appropriate to share our deadlines with others. Deadlines are primarily a tool to help ourselves. They need to be reasonable and appropriate to each individual situation. Used properly, deadlines can be a beneficial tool to help us get through difficult situations and problems without feeling trapped and helpless. They can help us let go of worrying and obsessing so we can focus our energies in more constructive directions. Setting a deadline can help move us out of that uncomfortable spot of feeling victimized by a person or problem we can't solve. Deadlines can help us detach and move forward. Today, I will consider whether a deadline might be helpful in some area of my life. I claim divine wisdom and guidance in setting appropriate deadlines for any problems or relationship issues that may be lingering.
That's a really good closing prayer because I'm going to God for this help and for instruction and for guidance instead of going to 5 other people for their advice and turning it into gossip. The one thing I see that we're deadlines is kind of like setting boundaries. When I first saw deadlines, I think it's really good in business and work environment. You have deadlines of here's a project, let's complete it in this amount of time frame. And then I was immediately propelled back to probably, I would say 17 years. And I remember you made a deadline. I don't know if you told me, but I think you did.
I probably didn't tell you.
What was your deadline? And this is full-blown addiction. I remember maybe there was a deadline first where you told me to tell my parents that I was doing the drugs. And I was like, I'm not going to tell my parents. I said,
okay. If you don't tell your parents, I'm going to tell your parents.
And you did that. And then you set a deadline.
Because they knew you had a drinking problem. They didn't know you were doing coke. And then I said, whatever the timeline was. And then you had gone to one rehab, like a 28-day, and had 3 months of sobriety. And I remember I didn't know, I wouldn't have told you because I didn't even remember doing it until I looked back and saw it later. So I had written in a journal, if things are the same or worse in 2 years, I'm done. Like, this needs to be over. I can't keep doing this.
So do you think that 2 years is a great deadline? No. To be in a toxic, abusive situation. That's why I find that funny, because like I wouldn't be able to put up with me for two months, let alone like, and you're so pure and innocent in like, I really have the value for family and love and a good partner, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt for, let's say, 2 years.
I remember.
Like, why 2 years? Where'd that come from? Was
I
that
don't know.
divine?
I don't know. So there's a forum that's online, and so I wouldn't have journaled about you because I would be worried about you finding it, and so I wouldn't have like written in a journal. But I had this like there was this online website where I could journal, and then I have a screen name, and there's like these forums, and so you could talk with people. But often I would just like write things like a journal entry. Then I whatever, didn't really care what other people said. And I remember looking back and reading that, and it was like almost 2 years. It was almost 2 years, like to the month of like when I wrote that I actually like
fled. The grand
Fled.
exodus, because I was so manipulative.
You're
I didn't
so
even
bad.
leave the house. Like this was my house. I'm not going to leave my house. Like, where else would I go? Like, I would be homeless. That would suck. And so I actually didn't force you physically, but emotionally, you left the house after the 2-year period, which was a coincidence maybe, but maybe it was divinely led. And that really helped me to get help. And so when did you know that the deadline had been met and the project had completed, so for you to reconsider the relationship?
For me, I just knew. I don't know.
Like, why would you get back into a relationship that you actually packed up the house and left and moved?
Why
like,
did
you
I
changed your whole life?
Why did I? So
a year later, you came back to the relationship. How did you know that you were supposed to do that?
Because so you went, so long story short, you went to rehab, you got sober. Why did I let you come back after you finished your rehab, even though you got kicked out?
I went to rehab, so left the house. You came back to it.
You gave me the house. You signed the house over to me. You actually signed over a power of attorney, which meant that you'd lost your mind and couldn't make sound decisions.
It's so true.
You signed over the house to me, and then you did wind up going to rehab, but not for a few months. It was a while until you actually went to rehab. After rehab, I think what the most significant thing for me is when you were trying to get sober, even though you weren't always able to like stay sober, you were trying, and you were doing something so different than I had ever seen before. So you never made promises. Oh, look, the pot's done. You never made promises, and you always did things, and then you would tell me about them later.
So I was starting to live recovery.
Yeah, and you were living recovery.
That's
and
what made you come back to the.
No, you came. I let you come back.
Yeah, but yes.
So I was willing to re-engage in the relationship because you were working recovery like really intensely.
And I wasn't trying to manipulate you.
You weren't trying to manipulate me, which was super obvious. You were never trying to convince me of anything. You were just doing your thing, and then you would tell me about it.
And I wasn't using you. I wasn't consuming you. I wasn't using you to get my strength, pay my bills, all of those things.
No. So I remember you were like, "Hey, I've been going to church. Would you bring the kids?" And I was like, "What? What do you mean? How long? Wait, what? How long have you been going to church for?" And you were like, "Oh, like months." I'm like, and then I was pissed. Like, I was mad. I was like, you have this whole life that like,
and I'm on holiday,
and
you're like, I want to go to rehab.
You don't even care. Like, you don't even, it's not that you didn't care, but like, it's not like you were trying to like impress me. It's just, these are the things.
But you've been trying to get me to be well for so long. And then all of a sudden I leave, and then I'm becoming well.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing the change. And now you're seeing like, I'm not consuming you. I don't even, I want to bring you my strength.
Yeah.
And I want to continue the relationship.
You'd never made promises that you didn't keep, and you were always where you said you were going to be. So if you said you were going to call at whatever time, or if you said you were going to be somewhere, like if we were going to do something, you always did it. You always did it. So that was hugely significant.
But very risky.
Super risky. Very risky.
In early recovery,
I would have whipped out those power of attorney papers so fast.
All right, it's a messy conversation and a messy situation for lots of people in recovery, and it's like there is no set answer. But like, what is recovery? Why would a partner bring back the addict? in a healthy way. How do you do that in a healthy way? I think you need the fellowship and you need community. You need people because you don't want to make these decisions necessarily on your own, but you want to include God.
And I think for me too, it's like really wise to listen to professionals. So, I had a doctor, a therapist, and like someone else that I whose opinion I valued tell me like really seriously, like,
but that was the deadline part. But I'm talking about the coming, like,
and then re-engaging. No, so there was people that I was talking to that like I was going to meetings, I was going to whatever, and so there was people that were like, yeah, if he's working with a sponsor,
like,
and
this is what recovery
that's important. This is what recovery is. So getting to meetings and because I didn't know how does a guy get sober.
I think one of the best signs
sober people
is when somebody has a sponsor, they're working the steps and they start sponsoring people, sponsoring their own sex.
Right.
And it actually says you actually have something to offer somebody else. And that's a good sign to get back in the relationship. Just saying.
Yeah. If you want advice, ask sober people.
If you want advice.
No, that's what I did.
Yeah. Ask recovered people.
Yeah.
All right. Wednesday at noon, we have our open addiction support recovery meeting. Josh is speaking. He's going to have a great message for tomorrow and then a time of open share. So come, let's connect. See you tomorrow. Have a great afternoon and wash your hands and keep the peace and be of good behavior.